Hey, good morning. How's everybody doing? Just want to share a quick word with you before I'm off to work as I spend time in my morning devotional with the Lord. During this holiday season, some of us have loved ones that are incarcerated, some that are in prison, maybe in jail, and your heart is maybe heavy during this time, all because, that loved one or friend may be incarcerated. But, something God had me to share, wanted me to share with you, Jonah was disobedient to God. And when Jonah was disobedient to God, he, instead of going to Nineveh, he got in the boat. And when he got in that boat, a great storm came. And when that great storm came, the people in the boat, they didn't understand why they were going through this terrible storm. But, Jonah, he spoke up. And when Jonah spoke up, they took Jonah and they tossed him over the boat. They tossed him off the ship. And when Jonah was tossed off the ship, then all of a sudden, God allowed a great fish, a big fish to come and to swallow Jonah up. And God gave me a revelation on that because, had not that fish swallowed Jonah up, then Jonah would have died. Jonah would have drowned if that fish would not have swallowed him, if God did not allow him to be placed inside of that fish. Many men and women that are out in the world that rebels against God, if it had not been for the fish called prison or jail, a lot of them probably would be dead. A lot of them lives would a lot of them would not still be here today. Psalm 107 verses 10 and 11 teaches us that men and women go to prison or to jail because they rebel against the words of God. And we understand that in Romans chapter 13, that the laws of this land are the ordinances of God, so if we rebel against those, then we bring damnation upon ourselves. And so many have entered incarceration all because of their disobedience to the words of God, like Psalms 107 verses 10 through 13 teaches us. But he also teaches us in that section of passage of scripture that he used prison to humble them, and for them to turn to the crowd to him. So during this time, I ask you to look at that prison as that well that saved that individual, that loved one, that friend that you may be missing. Look at prison as something that they can use to serve them, to be able to now to come out and be that dad that you've been praying about, that son that you've been praying for, that wife or that friend that you've been needing. Look at that as that well that God used to save Jonah's life, because if it had not been for that well, Jonah would have drowned and he would have died. So maybe if it had not been for prison, that loved one probably would have died in the streets or on drugs. So be grateful, because we serve a God who works out all things together for the good for those who love him and called according to his purpose and plan, like Romans 8:28 says. Have a blessed day.